So this is going to be the first video on Clippers Empire. I definitely like what this team is doing, and I definitely like their roster right now because looking at it right now, they're probably one of the deepest, if not the deepest team in the West and even in the NBA, and with good reason because, with guys like John Wall, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George, I definitely have this team going to at least the Western Conference Finals. So today we're talking about why the Clippers can go far in the West and what their team is going to be looking like and what it's going to be happening. So what's up? My name is Clippers Empire. If you like what you see, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. And let's get right into it. So the very first thing I want to talk about is, they finally have a healthy Kawhi Leonard and a healthy Paul George. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard missing the last season due to a torn ACL, and Paul George missing majority of the season due to an injury. I can't remember if it was like a hip injury. You guys can let me know what injury that was, but we finally got a healthy Kawhi Leonard and a Paul George, two guys that are very great on defense, both all defensive caliber, players, but also, their three-point shooting and their offensive ability is something that's very valuable to this team. And with overall, they're both two of the best players on the team, first of all, but second of all, Kawhi Leonard, definitely one of the best defenders in the league, if not the best defender in the league on perimeter. Same thing with Paul George, but both of them just play very well off each other. And, with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they pretty much cover for each other. Paul George, he's a good, guy that can create his own shot and someone that's very shifty for his size. But also Kawhi Leonard, he's also a guy that can post up in the post, but also someone that can work off ball too. So, secondly, I want to talk about John Wall. So John Wall, I think, is going to be a very important piece to this Clippers roster if they want to go far. Looking at his season stats from when he played with Houston, he had around 21 points per game, around 3 rebounds, and around 7 assists. Looking at his shooting splits, he didn't really shoot too well. 40% from the field and around 32% from 3 on a rebuilding roster isn't great, but at the same time, they gave him a lot of minutes. He's going to play fairly great, fairly bad. He was coming right off the injury, so he also threw in a steal. Obviously, he's a great perimeter defender, one of the best guard defenders here we got in the league. Obviously isn't the great or as great as he was back like when he was in Washington, but at the same time, John Wall, he's finally getting healthy, finally up there. So I think with this chance with the Clippers, he's definitely going to take advantage of it. And with the Clippers, they definitely needed a proven point guard because with Reggie Jackson, as good as he isn't a guy like John Wall who's going to be defending the perimeter and someone that's going to be basically handling the ball like him. So I think John Wall, the addition of him and his playmaking is definitely going to be great for you guys like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So even off ball with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, creating a lot of gravity gives, opportunities like for John Wall to be open on the corner or even on the wing to, spot up for a 3. So next, I want to talk about the depth on this team. There's a lot of guys on this team that definitely can prove themselves. First of all, we got Robert Covington and Norman Powell, both coming from the Trailblazers last season. Norman Powell with the team last season averaged around 19 points per game, around 3 rebounds and around 2 assists. Robert Covington averaged around 9 points per game, 6 rebounds and around 2 assists. So Robert Covington, the reason I like him on this team is because it's just basically another Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, offensively and defensively isn't as great as he is as Kawhi Leonard basically, but I think he's going to be very valuable to this team, with I wouldn't say like he definitely would be in the starting lineup, but they can mix and match a lot of the players they have right now to be in the starting lineup. To be honest, my starting lineup would be John Wall at the 1, Paul George at the 2, Kawhi Leonard at the 3. You can input Robert Covington or Kawhi Leonard at the 4 and kind of just like vice versa them. So I'd put Robert Covington at the 4 and at the 5 Zubac, and it just makes sense because, with the size on this team, first of all, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Robert Covington at the 2, 3, and the 4 gives them that height advantage that they really need. And defensively, that's a really great lineup. John Wall, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Robert Covington, all really good perimeter defenders. Zubac is going to be covering it in the interior. And I think we're talking about maybe, I wouldn't say, I think I definitely would say a Western Conference team. This team is definitely underrated, man. Looking at their other players, they got Norman Powell, who I have him coming off the bench. He's going to be a guy that's going to be stretching the floor and also just running the offense. They also got Terrence Mann, who's also pretty great. They also got Marcus Morris. They also got Luke Kennard, Brandon Boston. This team is very deep. Reggie Jackson. I don't know. I really like this team and what they're doing. I just think that they only have a couple years to do this because, with John Wall, Kawhi, and PG, John Wall's around 32, Kawhi's around 31. I think PG's around 32, 33. They're getting up there in age. I think their time window is definitely going to be a lot shorter than, most contenders, but I think they could get it done. I just think that injuries are going to be a huge problem for this team too, because, you know, with the big three basically healthy, if you want to even call it a big three, with these three guys healthy, I really just question how good they're going to be, or how, you know, much available they're going to be on the court with their injury history, obviously. Because I think with John Wall, I mean, he has to basically be sidelined for a back-to-back. Same thing with Kawhi Leonard. So on some nights, it's only going to be Paul George running the offense, but that's when guys like Luke Kennard, Norman Powell, Robert Covington come in. Even like guys like Jason Preston, who I think has a lot of potential, Nick Batum. I don't know. This team is very deep. You guys can let me know if you guys got these guys going into the Western Conference. I definitely do. They just need to figure it out for a couple seasons, man. I mean, chemistry-wise, obviously you need some chemistry, team chemistry, but also I think injury history is going to be a very big problem for this team if, you know, basically the three guys on this team can't stay healthy. So you guys can let me know what you guys think about the Clippers. I definitely have them as my favorite to come out of the West, but we'll see. So that's the video. My name is Clippers Empire, and my peace.